Rahmatullah alayhi, he passed away. Ahmad Jamal. Idris Muhammad, who played traps, played the regular drums. And he was there. He was there that day. That day I'm telling you about. He was doing Istikar, you know. And that was just it. And then it took off from there, just developing in the deen. And eventually my wife took Shahada in the beginning of '71. And she's a strong sister, and we raised our children accordingly. And we had 8 children together. I had one previous child, so I had a total of 9. 2 returned back to Allah. There was 6. There was originally there was 6 boys and 3 girls. So now there's 2 had went back, and I have 45 grandchildren and about 12 great-grands. And most of them is practicing their deen. Some of them is kind of like sitting on the fence and kind of weak. Nobody denounced the deen. There was one that did. He was from my first wife, which was a very early marriage when I was a stupid young cat, man, and got married to the sister. And we had a son together. He took Shahada, but then he fell out the deen, you know. And he died about 3 years ago from cancer. He didn't just fall out the deen, but he got deep into Christianity. I mean, like, he was like a deacon or something, you know. And he was like pushing that Jesus, you know, is the Son of God thing, you know. And we used to have like, you know, I tried to have like normal civil conversations with him about, but it always got hot, and I got tired of that, so it kind of made us a very limited relationship, you know. I would have loved to have a decent relationship with him, but it didn't develop. That was my oldest, you know. Other than that, nobody left the deen. Nobody left the deen, man. I know.
What was the relationship between brothers at that time?
Say what now?
What was the relationship with brothers at that time?
Could you be more specific?
How did they work together? And
it was very good. It was genuine. It was warm. It was family. We were tight, man. We were tight. Yeah. Gonna make me cry. It's a different time, man. We were tight. You don't see that. And brothers was very tight. Even when I left Brooklyn, we moved out to Long Island, and Bilal was there. And Bilal was a beautiful brother, man. We all know that. He used to be, Bilal, he's in New York, and he came up, he was born in Harlem Hospital, and he grew up in the Bronx. Then sometime in his life, he moved out to Suffolk County, Long Island, 60 miles east of the city. So, you know, I was going to college on the GI Bill at Brooklyn College, you know. So I come home one day in Brooklyn, where we lived there on the corner of Winthrop and 91st Street by Remsen Avenue. And I go to, we had a bodega downstairs, right? So my wife said, get some, I brought home some kosher. We was having kosher there. There was no halal meat shops, man, you know. So before they had the one on Court Street that the Don put up there. But before that. So we bought kosher. We all ate kosher, you know. So I had brought home some kosher meat, you know. And so she said, we need some aluminum foil. Can you go downstairs and get some aluminum foil? Because we had a grocery store down there, right? And these Yemeni brothers ran it. They owned that. They owned it, right? It originally was an Italian restaurant. Then they left. They got out of there. And you know, when I came home, man, you know, when I got busted by the feds and got locked up, there was a lot of like Italians there, Jewish people, right? When I came home, It's all Jamaicans, man, and Haitians and stuff, man, down there. Mostly Jamaicans. Like the whole neighborhood changed. But when I got home, you know, I said, it was like a shock, like, because I walked in on there. When I got home, got off the subway to go to where I lived, I'm saying the whole neighborhood changed, right? It was crazy. And so the stores down, I go down to the store to get the aluminum foil. I was the only customer, right? It was like Maghrib time, like at night. It was night already. It was already dark. The brother from Yemen says to me, he says, they tried to rob me this afternoon. He's telling me, you know, because we were tight. You know, I lived upstairs, the Muslims, only brothers from Yemen, him and his son, they ran the store. He said they came in with armed, you know. He said he pulled his stuff out, and it was a standoff. And then they said, we'll see you later. And they left. They were Jamaicans. They was Jamaicans. So he's telling me that around wartime, about Juma, it was on a Friday. This was on a Friday, man. And he says, he's telling me the story about it. They came in, right? While he's telling me this, they came back. They kept their promise. I'll see you later. Remember I said, see you later? They came back. There was four of them, and they all had their stuff out. One puts a 38 in my stomach, and one dude shoots the brother in the head right there behind the counter who ran the store, right? I was only a couple feet away from him. And I turned my back on the cat that put the 38 in my stomach to get myself together, because I said, this is it. I'm going back to Allah now, you know. I turned around and tried to get the kalima in my brain, right? My head is spinning, man. My head is spinning. And this is all happened very quickly. He shoots the brother, kills him immediately, behind the counter. I hit the floor and just played dead. You know, and now, bro, you know, they started shooting up the store, like shut the windows out, shut the store up, and left. I left, man. I'm only a couple feet from the brother. His blood is coming right down where I'm laying on the ground. And I get up. I had quit smoking for 9 months. When I got up off that floor, I'll grab me a pack of cigarettes so fast, boy, make your head spin. I ain't pay for them or nothing. I could care. I grabbed my smokes, boy, and then I started smoking again right then and there. Right then and there, baby. And I went upstairs. Well, anyway, I'm going to end this soon on this note. I get upstairs, and then the police started, you know, they knew I was an eyewitness. Somehow they found out. I sure ain't tell them. They come knocking on my door upstairs in the apartment building, right? Okay, and then about a week later, they come knocking on my door 1 o'clock in the morning from the 71st precinct. 71st precinct on what's the name of that street, man? 71st. You know where that was, man. You know where White Castle was on the corner. What's that street? And then behind that used to be back in the day. Used to be Elsie. Who was Elsie the cow thing? What was that? And Silver Cup Bread. Remember Silver Cup? Silver Cup Bread.
And I remember White Castle too.
And White Castle was on the corner, and there was a Chevy dealer across the street, right? Now, and then Remsen turned into Utica Avenue.
Right.
You know,
Right
going towards Eastern Parkway. You know, so they come knocking on my door like 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, before then, I leave the apartment to go get something right downstairs, right? After this incident happened, right? Lukman came out there. Lukman came out there and read Yasin over him. Because I got in touch, I don't know, called them or something. I told them what happened. They came. Before the coroner came, his body was still there. They read Yasin over him. Lukman came. And then they had the gypsy cab place right across the street was a gypsy cab place. Two of the brothers from the Dal drove cabs for them. One name was Semiullah. His name was Semiullah. And the other brother name was Mustafa. Remember Mustafa used to wear a black turban and he was older than most of the brothers with a full beard? They was driving, right? So I told them what happened, right? I told them what happened. And I'm sitting in their cab telling them what happened, right? The thing for the cab was across the street from where I live, right? And I'm telling them what happened to me, right? And they didn't know until I told them. So while I'm talking to them, I see two cats walking down the street. First, I see this dude sitting in a doorway on the ground, like a bum, like some cat who's a whiner or something, and he's strung out, and he's sitting down on the ground in front of a store that was closed, right? I see these two dudes walking down the street, and I recognized them from that night. I said, that's two of the dudes that was there that night. I'm telling them what, I said, it's right there, man. And they said, chill, just stay. And they were both strapped. Semiullah had something about that long, man. I don't know what it was, for 357. And they were strapped. So they said, chill, ain't nothing gonna happen to you. So them cats walking down the street, all of a sudden the dude, he wasn't no bum, he was a DT. He was a detective. I don't know what the hell they staking the place out like, you know that old thing about they always come back to the scene of the crime? No, they were looking for me. I was an eyewitness to a homicide. Right? So they popped two, but there was still two out there, right? So they took me down to by Sumter on Saratoga where Yaya lived across the street, Big Yaya, right? And got me a 38 detective special to keep me company for a while. And I said, cool, all right. So, and they was looking out for me, they worked across the street, so they was keep, you know, they knew what happened after that. They put two and two together. And so the word got back to State Street somehow. And brother Sadiq Abdul Alim from Philly comes to State Street, and one of the brothers told me, you know what happened with Abdul Rasheed, blah, blah, blah. So he comes to visit me about that. He comes to my bait, Sadiq. And he rings the bell. I open the door with my stuff out already. You know, I was like, he salams me. I cracked the door a little bit, you know, like that. We had the lock, like you know how many locks we used to have in them apartments, man? We had that thing that thing that goes into the ground. That piece of metal, right? Yeah. You had all kind of stuff. You know, that's Brooklyn, man. So I opened the door with the 38. You know, man, I don't know who that is knocking on my door, ring the bell, whatever. He says, he's living out in Long Island, man. He's living out in Suffolk County. He said, you got to, my son Idris, rahmatullah, was just born. He wasn't but maybe 10 days old already. Maybe not even that. He just got born. Idris was born. Idris Muhammad, rahmatullah alayh. He passed, you know, in 2012. He said, come out with me and stay with us. He said, get these children out of here. because all my kids were young. He was the youngest, but all of them was babies, you know. So then he brought me out. We went with him, and that's how we got. Eventually, we moved out there, and stayed there for many years, raised my children out there, and eventually more and more Muslims started living there. At first, there was no masajids, no masjids, and we made Juma in Bilal's basement every Friday. Only a small core of brothers, right? And there's a lot. I'll leave it right there. I'll leave that right there. Okay, so Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.